I think Kim and also Kyle, if you want to come up, you're welcome. But I think in one of our last discussions, we were talking about the tech stack analysis and how we can reduce the cost of enterprises thanks to this new AI and automation stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm excited to
Yes,
hear about it. I think today's topic is about that.
exactly. Yes. So we're going to catch up on that. And let's kick off, and then our people will join halfway. But I don't know if you guys watched the video that I did with Zach about 2 or 3 months ago. Maybe we can go through that same presentation, and today we can cover some more specific aspects that we didn't cover too much with Zach video. But I had a couple of updates to share with you guys first, and I'm gonna start by sharing my screen. Okay, here we go. So it took us some time, but finally today we have the artilla.com/community space that you guys will be invited. You will receive an email. Do you guys see my screen?
Yeah,
Is it appearing? Okay, excellent. So now when you will log in to your account on artilla.com and you just go to /community, that's where we're going to focus all our knowledge, all our exchanges, and also that's where you can find the other members and communicate and exchange and learn together. And I'm going to do a quick presentation of what it is, and the content will be we will fill it up. We already have many content. It's just about bringing it together, and then we can start interacting it together in this system. So it basically has on the top it has a feed. That's what you could see when you arrive on /community, where we have the announcements, and not only me and the team can post, but you guys also can post when you have something to share with the community. So it's like a common feed, like school or like social media. And then we have spaces, and to keep it simple, we designed 3 spaces. One space is about announcement and introduction, so that's where you guys come in and say who you are, or if you're starting something. So it's more like biographical and presenting ourselves to each other. That's and also the main and important announcements will be made there. Like when you have new content, when you have new tools, we will publish it into this first space called announcements and intros. And then we have another space. So a space is almost like it's like a group, like a subgroup of our community, or a discussion space, a discussion forum where we can exchange. So the second space is what we call global cooperation, and here is where we invite you. For example, Kim, if you start a project and you have a client, even if you keep it generic, your dealings with the client, but maybe you want to share your bottlenecks or your learnings so that we can like exchange, we can give you some advice, learn from your experience. That's where we call it global cooperation, because it's global in terms of geography, but also it's global in terms of all types of members and all types of tracks, all types of contents. It's basically where we share our experiences and we call upon feedback, contributions, and maybe even on some projects you can find partners here. So if you're in Toronto and you can find 1 or 2 people in Toronto area, maybe you guys together could take a bigger opportunity than going on your own solo. So that's global cooperation, and we invite you to really post and protect yourself also in a generic way, and only exchange the sensitive stuff in direct communications. But at least you can generate interest and get feedback. And then we have this space here, which is specifically designed for master agents. And in this space, we're going to have some special content, some special resources, and we will follow up with master agents about more in-depth cooperations and more in-depth resources, including managing your database and your SaaS as a backend and so on. So that is only accessible to master agents. But other than that, the other 2 sections are open to all members. And also the master agents, actually, for example, Kim, if you want to also be involved, you can also contribute and help other agents in your geographical area or in your area of specialty. So the global cooperation is not only us, Artilla, as a team, but also the master agents and their concerned people and network. We are all trying to empower the bigger base of our members. So these are the 3 spaces. And please stop me if you have any question. We can
Well,
do
yeah,
section by section.
I was going to say, well, I guess maybe we're probably going to get to it, but I presume that within, for example, global cooperation, then we could have different channels, for example, per locality, right? As you were mentioning.
Yeah, exactly. So we
Right?
can design this together. For example, like you said,
Okay, perfect.
wherever we have a niche or a concentration of agents, we can create like a specific subgroup by geography.
Okay,
That's a very good point. But we can also create subgroups by specialty, like the medical industry. That requires like a different approach. So any one of us who are involved with a client who is in the medical, and I think about you, Justin, then that's where we're gonna share the industry specifics knowledge. But yes, with pleasure. So we give you rights to create content and also to configure stuff. So please do it in an educated way or in a wise way.
We have any moderators to help keep
Yes,
things in order?
so for now we set up like very light moderation because we are not so many of us.
Of course.
And we will learn together, but slowly. And also this is like very private. Only the paid members of our program can access. So the videos on YouTube and the general knowledge is available for everyone. But here is really like like we're just 2 dozens of people for now, maybe 3 dozens maximum.
Yeah, that's good. It's very good.
Yeah, so it's very small. So it's only between us, regular agents and master agents, and our team, the Artilla team. And also members of Artilla team are going to get involved more and more. So it will not be just me alone. So we have people coming in and helping. Eli will be actually one of the moderator, presenter, and so on. So we also have some master agents. Whoever wants to contribute more, you're more than welcome. So those are the spaces. And here we're using a plugin that is called Fluent Community, which is self-hosted on our WordPress. And it may not be as perfect or as smooth as school, but it's kind of like a school environment. But in addition, we can share self-hosted files that are not shared to a larger public. And also we can interact with our other systems here. So those are the spaces. And then we have, so spaces is where we discuss, we exchange. There's also a chat module. We didn't enable it, but maybe at one point, especially Kim, like you said, if you need like instant cooperation, then you can tell us, Mohammed, let's activate the chat. We believe that it's going to be useful, then we can activate it, the live chat inside this system.
Great.
There are some other functionalities, but for now, I think we will all start discovering them as we go. The third section of this system is the courses. And this is actually where we follow our 3 tracks that we presented in one of the sessions. And this is where we will bring together the downloads and the knowledge by track. So today we're doing the cost track, but we also started to upload some stuff in that data track and the leads track. So before I go to the cost track for today, I will finish presenting and then we will go back to the cost track. So for example, the data track, and for now we make available everything to everyone who is a paid subscription member. Later on we will compartmentalize by track in terms of resources, but right now you guys go ahead and you can, for example, look at this video that we did, and now we put quick summaries using AI. Thank you, AI. As you know, I'm very messy, but even if we are messy in our discussions, AI is very good at summarizing. But also here, Kim and Kyle, especially you, Kyle, you can download the database schema, the installation files for PostgreSQL, Directus, Nginx configuration, PM2, and all the files you need to put on your own Linux server. We share the whole tech stack here. You can download it, guys, and set it up on your own server. This is a part of our offering. But for master agents, we do more than that. We actually install it on a server and we configure it, and then we put a domain name, and then we deliver to you the whole back end, and we manage the hosting, the security, the updates. But for regular agents, you can just benefit from all the research we've done and all the templates and all the installation files. And there is also a Word documents that walk you through all the steps you need, what you need to install first, what are the commands to use, which files to use, where to upload them, and so on. So this is, I think, where we can share in a more efficient way all our resources with you guys. So if I go back now to the courses, And let's not go back to the cost track yet. Then the lead track will have its own material here and its own courses. We will be pulling it in. But also we have a member area where we will see all of us here, and you will be able to either access the social media of every one of us if you guys decide to publish them. And also we can communicate with each other. I think, who was asking for this? It was Cyrus. Cyrus was asking a couple of times, how can I reach out to other members? So Cyrus, if you're here or if you listen to the recording, there it is. And as we go, we will have a leaderboard. And here the idea is that the more you guys contribute in the community, and then we will set up some kind of small things to win, or some services, or some, I don't know, some incentives that have a bit of financial, a bit of recognition, or a bit of knowledge and material, just to encourage other people to also co-create with us and then extend our reach. So that's about this system. So now I can go back to the tech stack, and maybe I can take some questions before we do today sessions. If you guys are having any zones of doubts, or so far so good.
Yeah, I'll definitely say so far so good. I'm not sure about anybody else.
Cool.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Justin.
Yeah, Justin said, yeah, now I see the comments. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, it looks pretty good, and it's a lifetime deal, so that's even better. So we will share with you the links to these plugins as well if you guys want to launch your own community. I think it can be useful as well. Okay, let's look at the tech stack. So first, we put back the hardware session 1, hardware session 2, and then we're gonna review together the tech stack analysis today. But also, just as a teaser for now, but the next thing that we want to put in this track is a way for you guys to show to potential enterprise clients how much it actually costs them to use cloud AI, because they often underestimate it. So they pay like $200 per month for ChatGPT Plus sometimes, and they have like 5, 10 memberships, that's $2,000. And then sometimes they have another account with Claude, with Perplexity, and like different AIs, and then they pay per query, and then they actually don't realize, and they think that there is only one way to pay these cloud guys. And our job is to tell them, maybe some part of this, because you're going to buy the hardware and we can advise you on the hardware, this is what you can transfer and remove that variable cost, and explore AI much more and give AI to all your staff instead of giving it to the 10 manager and leaving the 90 support staff. Why not give it to the 100 if you buy this hardware and you amortize the costs? So for us to be able to show them the cloud costs vs the self-hosted costs, we would need a kind of another wizard or another form that will calculate the actual cost of cloud AI per query, per type of activity, vs the hardware that you need to buy to get the same output. And then the idea is that we amortize the hardware on 5 years. I think that's the accounting. Is it 5 years, the accounting amortization in Canada and in the US for computers, let's say? Maybe Kim or Ryan?
That sounds right.
It sounds right. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what we did. Like if we cut it on 5 years, then we get a monthly fee. Then we can compare the monthly fee of acquiring the hardware vs what they pay right now for cloud AI, and then they can compare and make the decision or not. So that's what we will do in the next step. But just for you to know that we will bring you this tool as well to facilitate your audits and your sales side. So Justin says hardware every 4 or 5 years. Yeah, exactly. So CPAs usually they choose. So for us, so I'm more familiar with the European Union, and sometimes it's regulated by the national laws. And I think computers is 5 years in France and Belgium and Germany. So 5 years is also realistic, because the computer I have here, it's a 3090 graphic card, and it's basically 5 years old, and I'm still using it today. So it's about right from a realistic perspective and from an accounting perspective. Okay, now that we've seen the overview, let's go and look at what we mean by the tech stack. And please go back to this video that we did with Zach, where we went into a presentation that I'm going to share with you. And another thing, guys, is that here you have the summary of the discussion. You can also download the presentation and use it for your own to present this to a client and then put your logo and put their logo. And then you can also download the tech stack form for those who didn't see it in the download area. You can, we have a wizard, we developed a wizard that I will show you later here that can take the same amount of data, but instead of using the Google Sheet way, you can use the online wizard, which is step-by-step. So we have two options. So you can download both of them. The wizard is using the plugin called Fluent Forms that you can install on WordPress, and then you can pop up this wizard instantly on your website. For master agents, we set up a WordPress website and we configure it with all these sales tools and forms for you. But for those who do it yourself, you can just download here. So let's look at the presentation and I walk you through, guys. And please don't hesitate to stop me more often because we already have this covered in one video. But basically what we were doing here in the first presentation with Zach is the following. I'm just going to try to reorganize my window to capture more. Okay, so I can see the comments. So the main sharing that we want to bring to decision makers in enterprise level. So when I say enterprise, it can also be startups. Because startups often they don't have so much means and cash flow that they better wake up on the right foot. I think in English, it's even more critical for them to use their little resources and cash flow in choosing the right infrastructure and the right approach. And here, what we want to share, guys, our motto is not to be system centric or software centric, but to really be data centric. Like, what is the best for the data of the enterprise? And then once I can make sure that the enterprise is going to own and control and benefit firsthand from their data, then we can look at what software, what system, what operating system, what tools, what automation, what bot, what AI agent, what MCPs, all this can come later on. And we are not neglecting the added value of all these tools. It's just that there is a timing to it and there is an ownership way to it. So that's what we advise. And today we can do that because we have AI automation. So we can go back to the data and then build from the data upwards or outwards. So that's what we propose. And often the CFOs, so no, I would say the CEOs and the managers, they often don't realize how much money they're actually spending with their team. The CFO and the accounting team, they may know, but then they don't connect the dots that actually there could be a way that is cheaper. I think Kim, you and Kyle, you probably got that exposure as well. And probably Ryan, you're actually doing this internally even yourself. And Ryan, I think you have had and you're having good learning and progress. So please don't hesitate to chip in from your own perspective what kind of things kind of connected the dots for you so that you can explain maybe in a better way than my English. If you don't mind, Ryan.
Sure. Yeah. For me, it was stacking it up against licensing fees and just general continuous costs, like on a monthly basis, compared to open source, self-hosted, and internalizing things at not only a lower cost but actually a higher capability, faster speed, lower latency, all of that. So
yes.
Internalizing those capabilities actually opens up, at least for us, not only the cost factor but the increased capabilities.
Yes,
So,
and also I remember the integration of the systems because you internalize them so they talk to each other very fast and openly. And
yeah,
and
correct.
is it Ryan that like from when we are like business owners, we sometimes don't realize the cost that we will have in 6 months or 1 year because they are even more harder, especially when we start hosting with AWS or Azure. sometimes we're not exposed to the actual cost once I have visitors and users. Is that a correct assumption?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you actually walked me through an exercise where we were basically co-creating that for what we were doing, and it was shockingly different than what I thought. So going through that exercise was very valuable for us taking a step back and looking at the tech stack and kind of how we're going about this strategically. So it's financially viable and done in the most optimal way for not just step 1, but step 31. So
exactly, and I want to start with that for the tech stack, because the tech stack objective is to analyze the digital infrastructure of a company and basically where do they store their data and how they move it and what kind of services and software they're using, so that we can have like good insight on what kind of optimization we could do for them. And I think the most difficult one is what we have done, Ryan, together, is the hosting, because the hosting can compound in an uncontrollable way. If you don't know how these elastic hostings work, you can very easily, I have friends and even myself, when I was working with the United Nations, we did a partnership with AWS. They had this program called Start Something, and we got $150,000 of credits, I think. So I thought, wow, that's a lot of money. So we can bring AWS powerful hosting to small businesses in Africa. And it was a project in Africa, mainly in Senegal, Ethiopia, Morocco, Tunisia, and so on. And then I think we burned through, with like few websites, we burned through the $100,000+ in like 6 months. And then I thought, this is actually dangerous because we haven't launched officially the websites. It was mainly admin users and our scripts. They were, we don't have the most optimized websites when we start. So we actually, our teams, the 10 users on the back end are consuming 90% of the resources. So I want to show you how this translates, because I have 2 tech stacks. So we have these are real tech stacks that we did, but we kind of made them generic. So this tech stack here, we were able to save them a potential of $50,000 at the bottom here, if it's big enough. And comparably, the same company with the same number of staff, so they have like 120, 140 employees. Another company, they also have about 120 employees, but for them, we were able to save them $240,000 a year. And they were actually spending almost actually more than $300,000 per year that they didn't realize. And this company is spending about $100,000 per year in hosting, different softwares, CRM, ERPs, and so on. So you can see that same size company, this company has 3 times more expenses, and why they have 3 times more expenses is partially because of the Azure infrastructure. They didn't realize that their Azure server was costing them $60,000 a year. Whether you have traffic or not, they were paying $60,000, and because the ERP and the Azure system required the company to have a fixed IP address, they are paying almost $2,000 per month for a fixed IP address, meaning that just for their hosting and access to their VPN, they're spending $80,000 per year. They have not created value yet. They're just holding the ERP. And I wanted to highlight this to you because business owners and CFOs, they often don't realize and they don't think that it's actually, there are other alternatives. They think that everybody is paying like this. So everybody who are in our field, and because we developed in a Microsoft environment, we have to stay with Azure, and that's the sacrifice we have to make. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's valuable to stay there, but I think in the age of GPU, these kind of hostings are going to have a big challenge, because it will be very expensive for us to have vectorial databases and to do AI compute with these systems. It will multiply the cost by 4 or 5. And all these costs plus the ERP, and the ERP is a very old ERP that runs on .NET Azure infrastructure. So just to have 80 users on one ERP they spend $150,000 a year. So Ryan, I think that will make you feel less less bothered. But you can see that many corporate entities, even below 100 employees, they may be spending a fortune and they don't know that we could help them save. And that's exactly what the tech stack is about. So this is about the hosting, and you guys please interrupt me because there are so many ways of hosting and dealing with hosting. With Artilla and our team, we prefer to take we call them bare metal servers, and we are here to teach you how to manage bare metal servers, and then we can configure our servers as we want. So we take powerful servers that we put online for the cloud side, and then we advise that all of us, buy powerful GPU computers, like I showed you in the last session. So there is the Dell Spark GB10. I think some of you who did not do it yet, please do the booking. These computers are available now for pre-purchase, and they are at $3,000 or $4,000. They have two models. So that's what we advise is for CPU online availability, we take a bare metal server, or we can even host with AWS and Azure, but we optimize our tech stack. But for the GPU, this is the most important, guys. For the GPU, with our enterprise clients, the discussion we can have is, why don't you buy this computer for $3,000 and it's going to give you 128 gigabyte of unified RAM, and you can host a 200 billion parameter model. That is half of the size of ChatGPT 4, the first version. So that means that it's a very decent, gigantic local AI model that can be hosted locally and accessed locally for all the teams and all the staff. So that's a little bit our sales pitch about the hosting and the separation between CPU and GPU infrastructure. I hope it makes some sense. I think Kyle, you started also to work on this.
Yeah, I am interested in that model. Maybe I think I'll purchase a machine for that.
Yes, and even if you don't purchase this one, you can purchase like a 3060 for $300 and start hosting an AI model. But this is a beast of a beast, and I think if some of us can get this, our idea is that if anyone who buys this, we could together create a local cloud. So people who want to host in Texas, we have somebody in Texas that has one, somebody who is in the New York State for regulatory purposes or latency. So we could, all of us together, become kind of GPU local cloud providers and kind of monetize our hardware in a second way. So we're happy to build that kind of marketplace if you guys want to put your GPU hardware online. And there are many tools that make this even more possible. So I will just highlight it very fast, but there is the KVM, I forgot the name. Yeah, Jet KVM. There's this new tool that is coming up, Jet KVM, which allows us for $60 to plug this on the USB server of an enterprise client. And here, for example, Kyle or Kim, you could set up that AI server, and then the company tells you, no, but we don't have the IT guys and we don't know how to manage it. And you can tell them, no worries, I'm in Toronto, you're in Toronto, and I can access your server remotely, and I can do everything, including access the BIOS, because this is plugged into, and it uses the Wi-Fi. So we can control those servers and troubleshoot, repair, reboot for our client that is, let's say, 20 miles away. A worst case scenario, we can take the car and go and debug. But this is a $60 piece, $69, that gives us remote control, very secure, very private, to the server, to the AI server that we would have installed at the premises of our enterprise client. So these two things together really gives us the power to bring our tech stack to life when it comes to replacing some of the online compute with local compute that is often 10 times, 8 times cheaper by doing so. So that's about the hosting and the compute power. Any questions, guys?
Yeah, I have one.
Yes,
question.
please.
So that machine, like with the NVIDIA GB10 is the new chip.
Yes,
And there's one model from Dell, and I saw some other models too from like one from ASUS and other from NVIDIA itself.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
they
yeah,
sell it on the same website, NVIDIA. I think they call it now Spark.
yeah.
Yeah, here. So if you go here, I don't know if I can still go through because I did the booking already. Yes, so this is the reservation you can do on NVIDIA Marketplace. So they have three models, two models actually. The NVIDIA itself, which is like metallic and hardcore, and then you can buy two of them and get the cable between them to kind of get 400 billion parameter model. So this is, if you buy this, you're basically a data center. Like already with this, you're a data center, but with these two together, you're really a big data center. Personally, for budget reasons and because I know that I can extend the disk space separately, for those who want to save $1,000 between this one and this one, you can take the ASUS equivalent. But you're right, there is even more providers that are coming up with equivalents like this. And also some of them are putting the Spark chip into laptops. So ASUS has a laptop called ROG Strix something. There's a model of laptop that will have the same chip for laptop version.
So between these and the Dell one, like how's the ASUS one and the Dell one?
Well, it's
Like
actually
which
the same chip. So it has the same. So let me show you here. This will all be the same. What changes is the connections, the power unit, the box, and whatever hardware Dell or the others will add on top. But the core of it, the CPU, the memory, the GPU, and the networking is all actually done by this new Spark motherboard from NVIDIA. So it's actually this is like a more harmonized computer between the brands. It's almost like just the packaging changes a little bit, but 80% of the hardware is NVIDIA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the good side of the NVIDIA one is that you can decide to connect another one later, like if in the
Exactly.
future, like if you need another power. But these ones like are better for standalone
Yes,
devices.
but they have this connectivity here. You see, they have dual connectivity and they have high-speed network RJ45. So I think it's I don't remember if it's 10 gigabytes second or 100 for high-speed network connectivity.
Okay, okay. So these
Yeah.
are also connectable.
They're connectable, but of course, in terms of speed between the two, if you buy these two units from NVIDIA with their special cable, so they have this special super fast cable connectivity, that of course will be the best scenario if you want to have two units communicating between them at the maximum speed. So we can cover more on the hardware, but the idea of the hardware of today is really to kind of do the same exercise that we went through with Ryan and calculate what do we keep online as a cloud with our own bare metal server, what do we keep with high value hosting providers like Neon for the database or Supabase or even self-hosted Directus or taking an EC2 instance with AWS or an Azure offer. Like we could keep some of the stuff there, but we need to understand why and do we get the value out of it, and do we get any benefit that gives us the return on investment. Otherwise, if that cloud solution doesn't give me the investment, then I buy the hardware. And you guys in the US have very good connectivity, so you have very good internet connections, so you can have upload and download streams that are pretty stable. Electricity is very stable, so you could like really convince now enterprises who went the last 20 years, they all swear by we go cloud, and now they're saying it's very expensive and we are far away from our own data. So we are in that phase, and this is where we need to master the hardware to be able to provide to the enterprise whether yes or not buying your own hardware or hiring your own metal server with our assistance can actually save you 50%, 80%, or just 10% of your current hosting costs. So hosting is often the most underestimated and misunderstood cost by enterprise clients. Then the second cost, and it's related to hosting because the ERP, so enterprise clients, they often want, if they don't already have an ERP, they are dying to get an ERP, because you can't just use emails and forwarding emails and PDFs and files in an enterprise environment and you start to hire more people. You need an ERP, enterprise resource planning, to manage your assets, to manage your HR, your website, your sales, your inventory, and whatever your delivery. So often with enterprise, you will be engaged about, we want to source an ERP and we do not know which one is the best for us. And the other side of it is, we have an ERP, it costs us a lot of money and it doesn't do what we want to do. And then we are forced to go out to get this AI benefit, this automation benefit, because the cloud or the desktop ERP we got it in the early 2000s, and it doesn't have an API and it doesn't have AI features and so on. So the discussion will often go around the ERP. If they don't have an ERP, they have at least a CRM. And how can we either extend the life of the CRM or extend the capacity or migrate, possibly, if they feel comfortable with you, they want to migrate to a more cost-efficient CRM or ERP. So that's usually the second point that swallows most of the costs, and that's what we ask as a question. Where is your data? Do you have an ERP? No. Okay, do you have a CRM? Oh, you don't have a CRM? Okay, what do you have? Do you have a billing system? Do you have an accounting system? So you have to go down and walk them through all the possible systems, and that's where, sorry, I'm looking for some water, which I don't find. Allow me just 1 second, please, to get my daughter to bring me some water. Okay, and that's where we have the wizard to help you on which system you should diagnose or ask questions about. You can either use this Google Sheet and then walk them through one by one, or if you look at the tech stack, and here I have one. Is it readable for you guys? Maybe Kyle or yeah, right?
Yeah,
Kim,
the font's good enough for me. Yeah, I can read it.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. So I can. So let's say. So we did this tech stack. Thank you. We did this online wizard for two reasons. One, for you when you meet with the client, so that you don't forget to ask questions about specific segments of the audits. But also, and normally for the tech stack, we charge money because it's an assessment. It's like an audit. So you can also call it rapid AI automation readiness assessment. Some companies, they prefer that. They want to know how much they are ready for benefiting from AI automation. Or some, they are more open to call it a tech stack analysis. So whichever way you want to have it. But this serves a dual purpose. Yeah. So let's take the example that I'm now. The second purpose is that if they don't want to pay us, where we ask them the question, we spend 2 hours with them, we travel to their office or we do a visio, whichever way, and then we ask them question, we take notes, and then we ask follow-up questions. If they don't want to pay us, or if they don't want to give us the information on that at that moment, we can always give them the link and tell them, you can do it for free, self-service. Just please be diligent, because the more we have information, the more we can give you advice, the more we can find you some quick wins and some immediate savings potential. Because if you just send them to the link and they fill up 10% of it, it will not be very valuable for you as an agent to provide them with valuable feedback. So I will go fast on this, but please don't go fast. I just want to show you the sections. So you start with the company name. So let's say I want to audit, I don't know, maybe Justin. Justin, do you want to provide some context that can be useful to you? Or anyone who has a potential client, you're welcome to, if you want to use your context.
I guess the biggest context that works for me, and when I spoke with you and kind of got my lights going off, is because I'm working in a medical space, the one drawback that they've always had is security due to HIPAA requirements.
Yes.
And giving them the opportunity to locally host and store that data locally allows them to use AI and automation locally. So they're allowed to use, right now they can't use a lot of AI products because of the vulnerability and the security and privacy restrictions.
Yeah.
So by allowing them to locally host, that gives them the ability to bypass that. So that got me very excited.
So
And I did put my
this is a very good point, because also we are advising you guys to go for regulated companies, be it in the medical, financial, or legal sector, or any regulated company, because of these reasons, Justin. They will have a higher interest and higher restrictions, preventing them from benefiting from cloud AI. So shall I use just, we call it a clinic or something, a veterinary clinic or whatever? What could make sense?
try home healthcare agency, home
Okay.
health agency.
So let's call home health agency. And then I will write the locality, for example, Orange County. And then here it's always good to give yourself, we take it from their About Us website, but we want to know how long they've been in service, so the years in operation, the sectors, if they have subsidiaries and departments. That's very important also, Justin, because they can share the hardware between the HQ and the other branches, if they have branches. So that's another multiplying effect. It's still within the network of the company, even though it's in one physical place, but it benefits the 5 branches that they have in California, for example. So let's say I will ask them the question, how long you've been in business, which sector, do you have other branches, and what are your yearly turnover? And usually we ask them, what are your top 3 services or products? Because the top 3 services of product, they usually drive 80% of the data flows. So let's say they tell us we are 10 years in business, present in 5 locations in South California. Yeah, we did 3 million last year in 2024. And I forgot the other parts, so I can always Control X and come back, and the top products and services. So let's say they do home top service. I'm just making it up. Top service is home digital monitoring. Let's say they want to use smart devices to monitor somebody's presence or health in their own home. And second is emergency intervention, for example. These are the 2 health services that we provide in this jurisdiction. And then that gives us already an idea on what kind of data and stuff we need to get. It's also very good to always ask the number of employees they have, and within those number of employees, how many are IT or developers, because one of the first bottlenecks we encountered in our activities here and also in Europe is that often the IT department will kind of see us as a threat, you know, because they're already having such a hard time to manage the infrastructure that they have, repairing keyboards, printers, and connections and VPNs and so on, that they don't want anything new in the system. So it's good to know how many staff, and then it's good to know how you can show the IT team that we are here to empower them to make the business more cost efficient, just to avoid this human resistance. So let's say they have 80 employees, and among them there is 5 IT guys. And we also want to know what kind of certifications they have. So here, Justin, this comes to our regulations. Are there FDA or MQA? So MQA is about things here in Mauritius, but
There would be HIPAA.
Sorry?
HIPAA.
Yes, HIPAA. So I think I didn't put it here. So in the form you can add certifications that are specific to your jurisdiction or your industry. depending on what you target. So I didn't put HIPAA here, but let's say they were ISO certified for some, or for something like that, or IBA license. In your case, it's HIPAA and something else. And then we just get the main person, Mr. John Doe, email, and phone number. Okay, you got the part. You can always save and resume. You can also show the clients that they can start filling up stuff and resume later on. So I'm gonna go next. And this is what will guide you guys. Here is that we kind of grouped, we tried to capture the 12 types of physical and digital infrastructure that relates to IT and data, so that we make sure that we don't miss anything. And here, Justin, it's not only what the customer has, it's also what would you like to have in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. It's better that we know it so that we can advise you on how you prepare for it and how you purchase the best one. So usually we ask this question in 2 ways. Tell me what kind of systems that you already have or you want to procure in a reasonably short term or mid term, and then I will check the boxes. So we have or we want an ERP, yes, for sure. Oh, yes, in 1 month or 2 months we want our sales team to have a CRM. Okay, I check it. We also want a CMS to publish blogs and e-commerce website and so on. And then, oh yes, we want customer support. So there you go with customer support management. And then the first 4 are usually demanded by almost any business. Now the next 8 can be specific to different businesses. For example, document management system. I think in the health and medical sector, they deal with a lot of documents, like radiographies, and then maybe they scan them. Then maybe they have delivery reports of medicine or care. So whatever they have as documents, then maybe they need a document management system. So in your case, Justin, I will check this. And then they may want to manage their human resources, especially if they send if they have doctors or nurses or drivers. Every company will have different type of staff, and they want to manage their payroll. So that will be the HRM. AMS, normally almost every business will either already have an accounting software, or they may want to change. So I think in the US, you guys use a lot, how is it called, the accounting software? QuickBooks, I think. QuickBooks and Xero. I think those are famous ones. And also, they may not know that they need automation, or they may be using automation and they think no, like they have a Zapier account, a Make account, or some automation that is local to the ERP or even some software. And you may want to check this because that's what we want to sell also together. So RPA, robotic process automation. And this is where, Justin, this is very relevant to your use case, not to our common use case when we go with IT companies and stuff. We often don't have so much of regulatory pressure like HIPAA. So that's where we do the regulatory technology. So be it financial compliance with verifying the identity, anti-money laundering, the solvability of a client, the criminal records, or the data of medical patients, and all. That's what we call RegTech, regulatory technology. There's often different softwares and different hosting requirements that are specified by the regulatory body. So in your case, I would check RegTech. And then we come to the less and less demanded, or the less and less, let's say, critical. But in some instances, you may want to offer supply chain management, especially if it's a company that sells physical products. And let's say they have a warehouse and 2 stores, or even like they import and they export, or they store and then they distribute, even drop shipping, which is supposed to be an online activity. Sometimes you need supply chain management from the supplier stock and then your so-called sales stock and so on. So supply chain management almost a must advise if they have physical products that are delivered physically. So you could check that as well. Network and security, NetSec. Many companies who have a certain number of employees will start to worry about networks and security. So that comes with firewalls, routers, anti-DOS protection, but also this is about training, security trainings, about the man in the middle, you know, like how you protect your business from a human process perspective. So all this we can provide know-how and software. And finally, in the case more and more with the GPU, there is what we call the hard set, the hardware set, the hardware assets. So I will show you what kind of questions we ask there. But these are the 12 areas of audit. Is it too much? Is it not enough? Justin, for your first impressions?
No, I like it.
Cool. And maybe Ryan, we didn't discuss this so much, but we started discussing the security. But actually, there are a couple of things here that can be software and hardware inside the security. So these two, NetSec and HardSet, are often related when it comes to routers, hubs, and modems and stuff like that. Okay, let's go to the next slide. If everything is clear, Ryan, any feedback or precision, or Kim or Kyle or anyone?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Superb. So
Yeah, it's good. It's good by me as well. I guess we can revisit those last two offline. So
yes, and also I'm going to cover now for the one by one. I'll try to go. How much time we have? Sorry, I'm also calling my daughter for the water. Okay, let's move. So every step follows the same ID. The idea is we want this exercise not to be too painful and quite quick. Thank you, girl. Thank you. Allow me, guys, for a quick drink. Water is life. So we try to capture all the brands of ERPs that are in the market. So most of the time, when you are in enterprise environment, they go with the big guys. So SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, Infor ERP, or Sage or NetSuite from Oracle. More and more are actually jumping to Odoo. Odoo is one of the last unicorn ERPs. And then you have also a bunch of ERPs that are specialized for construction, for medical, for IT management and things like that. Pastel for construction, production. And when you don't find the ERP that your customer is using, then you just put other ERP, and then please use the ERP comments to capture it, because sometimes they use either custom-made ERP or some very localized ERPs, and it's very good to capture it and get the name and the version. So not only the name, the version, and like maybe some the last update. So for example, if they tell me, oh, we're using this Xanos ERP version 1.9, last update, and you will be surprised. Like this customer that I showed you here, this one here, who they were paying $150,000 per year, their ERP was not updated since 2021. So 3 years of no updates, but they're still paying. So it's good to check the last update so that we can see how reactive is that ERP. So here, maybe the last update was 2021, and then capture what are, what are the pros and cons, the main ones. So like you want to know why they stayed with this system. So I will put like this, pros and cons. The pros is that, for example, it has multi-tenant accountancy, which the other ERPs do not have. So then you identify, oh, that's why you're still stuck with that vendor. So that's the number one feature. So you need to find the why. why they haven't moved. And then the cons, no AI, no API, expensive. That's usually the three things that come up. And when you do that, when you're talking to them very quickly and try to be like bullet points level, you can always do research later on. But here I should have put here actually other ERP, and then it's the Xanos ERP version 1.9. And then you must identify how many users they have. So let's say they have 25 users, and then how much they pay and in which cycle. So let's say they pay monthly, and it's $39 per month per user. They have 25 users. We already know that the cost is $11,000 per year. So here, there is a small thing that you can do every time for every block, is that, let's say this company already indeed has this ERP, but if they didn't have an ERP and they told me, I want to source an ERP, then I would have used which ERP you're interested in. So instead of telling them which ERP you have, which ERP you had in mind that you guys studied. And then I will write down. So if they tell me we were going to go with Odoo, but we would like you to tell us if Odoo is actually the best way. And we were going to take 50 users with Odoo at $15 per month. We were ready to pay $9,000. That gives you the benchmark of what they were ready to go with, so that you can then study multiple options. So I just wanted to show you the difference between we have or we would like to have. And both of them are very valuable. So I go back to my other ERP, and let's say we stay with our 50 users at $39. Okay, any questions so far about ERPs, guys? Are you guys still around?
Yes.
Okay, so I have one more thing if you don't have question about ERPs, is that sometimes, and we will share this with you as well, sometimes they want to custom develop an ERP. And in today's age, with all the AI agents and the vibe coding and the ready-made templates and how you call it in English, boilerplates, it becomes more and more crazy to try to reinvent the wheel and develop a system from scratch for a company, unless that company want to use the ERP for themselves and then resell it, which is actually a good case for our AIA data track to help them not only develop a custom ERP, but then monetize it as a specialized ERP for the medical sector in California, because we know the rules and exactly how this industry works. And in that case, instead of the traditional custom development, we can show them that to develop any system, you need at least 2,500 hours of developers, because that's what it takes. But with so it's nothing below $200,000 when you want to do even $300,000 if you want to custom develop something from scratch. But with our framework and our program, we can develop some kind of custom ERP based on existing database structure that we offer, and maybe even a back end. And then we just develop the front end, but we control the database structure, and then we can offer that company kind of a 10 times, 8 times cheaper custom ERP that they can then monetize and deploy out of it their own trained model, AI model that they can integrate into their ERP. And then they can monetize it, so they can pay us more regularly, a better fee, and then it becomes worth to do custom development. But otherwise, if it's custom development without the methodology that we shared with you guys, it's often 80% failure of the projects. That's what the statistics say. So that's for the ERP. So let's go back to our step here. And I covered the ERP, which is often 30% of the costs or the worries of customers. Erik, willkommen. Wie geht's dir? All good?
Good, okay. Yeah.
Yes, excellent. We started the tech stack analysis, so please jump in. I know that you may also have some potential clients.
I've been inside for the past 40 minutes.
Top. So I just noticed you. Good. Please don't hesitate to throw in questions. I know that in Europe, sometimes we use different softwares, or we have some different cultural biases. Like, for example, in Germany, what was that e-commerce system you were using before Shopify?
JTL, Shopware. stuff
Shopware.
like that.
So
Very
Shopware,
easy.
I think German companies, they use it a lot. The French companies, they use PrestaShop for e-commerce. And then the British and Americans, they use more Shopify. So all these things that we want to capture depending on the area. And that's why we couldn't cover everything, but that's more like CMS side. So ERP is more enterprise resource planning. Like it has much more modules. Eli, how are you?
Very well, except I apologize. I had some technical difficulties. So
No
I've had to,
worries. Sorry, we started without you, but please.
of course.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be.
Yes. So please don't worry, don't hesitate to catch up and guide me. I've been trying to play both our roles at the same time, but you're hard to replace.
Not at all. Not at all. Eric, nice to see you, and everybody else.
Yes, excellent. So let's any question about the ERP, Eli or Eric?
No, not at all.
Okay,
No, thank you.
superb. Let's go to the next one, which is the CRM. So here also there is even more choices in CRM because it's a little bit lightweight to do. So depending on where you are, you have the Microsoft people, Microsoft Dynamics, and now Dynamics 365. And even inside Microsoft Dynamics, you have multiple Dynamics. You have the old Dynamics that is self-hosted on like desktop computer, and sometimes they need people like us to help them move from Microsoft Dynamics desktop to Microsoft Dynamics Cloud. And when they get a quotation from Microsoft, the migration is $250,000 or $150,000, and say, man, to migrate to the cloud version, I need to pay so much. But with our tools, if we move them from file system to PostgreSQL, and then from PostgreSQL with the API to Microsoft Dynamics, even if we don't use our PostgreSQL setup as the ultimate end ERP, we can use it as a migration intermediary database. So that's why you have to really go into the version levels and if it's desktop or cloud. So let's say, I don't know, let's say they have Zendesk, Salesforce. Salesforce is also a CRM, I think. It's a very good CRM with its own development framework. So let's say they have Salesforce. So if they have Salesforce, we already know what kind of features they may want just because of the nature of Salesforce. So I will capture again how many users. And here I want to attract your attention to something that they don't tell us at the beginning. So when you ask them how many users, they say 20. And then, okay, let's say they pay $49 per month and it's a monthly cycle. Now, what you need to ask them is, but did you take only 20 because it's too expensive? If this was less expensive, how many users would you equip? Would you equip the 100 employees that you told me at the beginning? You see what I mean, Eli? Because sometimes they only take 5, 10, 2 for the managers because they don't want to pile up the price, but then they're handicapping their own, they're limiting the software accessibility to all the other 80% of the staff. And likewise for the AI, they only take the ChatGPT at $200 for the management team, and the support team will not have that. So always ask 20 paid users, but would like all remaining 80 staff to have it if below $20 per user per month. They're ready to do the jump. So now this gives me information that, okay, I know what is the threshold for which tools they could then adopt this in a higher scale. So I captured that. Now I go next. For content management systems, that's where I was talking with Eric with Shopware, and I'm not sure we even put it here.
There's no need to.
Yeah, you moved out, but maybe you need to help people migrate because you've done that exercise yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So actually, it's a very good skill. Migrate from Shopware to Shopify, for example. But let's say they have, I don't know, a WordPress website, and here they have 100 users, but it basically costs them $1 a user because they self-host it. So then it doesn't cost them much, $1,200 per year. But then you can ask them again the pros and the cons, and they say pros is that cheap and lots of plugins. The cons is that security, stability, and scalability, because now they have 2 million products in the database, for example.
And updates. It's always updates.
And updates. And target in 6 months. You want to always try to capture the next benchmark. And for example, when I deal with e-commerce websites, I tell them what's the next benchmark of number of SKUs in English. And they tell you we want to go to 1 million SKUs in 6 months, and then we know what kind of infrastructure we would require. Because if you have just 1,000 products on an e-commerce website, there is not very much differences between Shopify and WordPress or whatever, especially if you have like 10 orders, 100 orders per month. But if you have 1 million SKUs and 1,000 orders per day, that's a whole different discussion in our analysis, guys. So that's what the kind of things that I would capture in this thing. Any questions here, guys? Anything from your experience as well? No worries, then we can go ahead, and then the same for the customer support management, whatever they have. We go with the number of the users, how much they pay by month, and whatever they may want. Again, the pros, the cons, and next milestone. And also always like good to capture the wish. What do they wish? So let's go see if there is anything. Oh, here there is some unique stuff that I want to share with you. And Ryan, please don't be hesitant to ask questions here and maybe share from your own experience, because I think we often underestimate the enterprise needs in terms of document management. Even financial companies, when we audit them, they are regulated by the financial auditor. Maybe they're a bank or how you call it, a peer-to-peer finance company or a crypto company or whatever, and they put all their documents on Google Drive. And so they say, oh, we don't need, I have Dropbox. So I pay Dropbox Premium, $20 a month, I have 2 terabytes. So that's where we need to bring the discussion to the regulatory aspects. And then the vectorial data, you remember what we did last week, I think, that if you can download and have it on a local computer with a local AI, you can vectorize. If you have it on Google Drive or on an online cloud and you need to send it to another cloud AI, the cost will be so enormous that the business owner will not even think of vectorizing their documents, be it PDFs, images, sound files, videos, whatever they have. So here you have to like dig more. What do you have right now? Excel files, SharePoint, DocuSign, DocuWare, whatever they have. And ask what kind of add-ons they have on top. So the same, let's say they told us that they use Dropbox Business. And right now they only have 2 users at $20 per month. And that's very cheap. But then again, the pros, the cons, and let's say the wish and the next milestone. So maybe I just throw at you guys what are the pros. It's that it's super easy, drag and drop. Easy, drag and drop and share with access rights. That's true, that's very useful. The cons is that limited manipulation. Have to pay Zapier to automate docs. So they want to automate the docs, but then they have a cost. And then what they wish is that the wish can be incited by us guys. We can tell them, maybe you wish to have vectorial data that for now you haven't thought about. So then I would push to this vectorial data. And milestone, for example, they want to go, they want to have 100% of documents, how you say in English, repertoriated, you know, like a librarian will have all the books in that system, how you call that, referenced.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly, referenced.
Reference.
Debit, yeah.
So we want 100% of our company documents that are files to be referenced in the database vs departments and be assigned to owners, departments, customers, and contracts or deals. Because that will tell us what kind of relationship we need to extract, data we need to extract, and what kind of relationship we need to create for all their documents. So this is one example of what I would be asking, but also you can ask which documents are analog and which documents are already digitized. So you'll be surprised. So digitized, they have 10,000 files, and then they have 220,000 receipts, purchase orders, flight tickets, and things that accounting wise they need to keep for 5 years or 10 years, but they haven't scanned them. So you can try to identify all these purchase orders and flights, but you get the idea of all the types of documents. And this is probably where, thanks to the local AI and with the terabytes of disks being very cheap, that's where we can provide like a fantastic value. If we can feed all these documents to the local AI like Llama 3.2 or even Llama 4 now, and then extract so much data, they will love you guys if you can extract those 220,000 scanned documents and then give them insights out of that, statistics, provision, mistakes. You can even like use AI to show how many documents were barred by hand and had handwriting. That means that somebody had to correct them, and then you can come up with a ratio of corrections. That means that the template of invoicing or the template of the reception of goods need to be modified if it has a 40% manual alteration. You know, there's so many things that we can come up with if we can OCR, scan, and vectorize documents. Does that make a bit of sense, Eli?
Yeah, definitely.
I have a question.
Yes,
now
please.
there's a customer that wants to see where he's sending a client a contract.
Yes.
And he wants to see where the client stops reading and maybe where he hovers most of the time, and maybe to find out or to see why he's not signing.
That's a nice point.
That's a very special DMS feature of some DocuSign, whatever, where you can actually see where the client went.
That's right.
And highlighted maybe even the text, because when I read something online, I always highlight stuff.
Yes.
Just mark it and then just continue.
No, that's a very good point. So you have some cloud-based providers like DocuSign and others that they can do per page, per file, and some even they can do per image and paragraph. But you could also look at recreating this. We have file manager servers systems that we can use, and you have what we call have you heard of dynamic PDFs that have forms and HTML inside the PDF? So you could actually design a way that you can host the PDFs on our AI automation backend.
Yeah.
And then you can actually the PDF can load images and paragraph or transparent small images that they don't see, but as they read, it's loaded from the server, and then you know that they read this and they look at this and they look at this. You could almost recreate that and remove the cost of DocuSign.
That's
for example.
very cool.
Yeah. You also have offline PDFs where you can send a PDF to a customer, and actually the PDF has some dynamic fields where I can choose I want this product 2 units, and it will calculate, and then the PDF has a form to make a pre-order, and they can click it, and when they have internet, it sends the pre-order to your e-commerce website or to your API endpoint. So PDF is a fantastic format. We will do a session on PDF. There are different PDF formats, some that support long-term storage, some that support signature and not, some that support functions. So maybe along the program, if you guys are interested, we can advance a little bit the PDF side of it. but we can do a lot with PDF. And Ryan, we discussed a whole PDF management server using technologies like Tesseract for OCR and Apache Tika. So we can build our own document management server if you guys are interested. And we can build it for our customers as well. It's a lot of work. It's hardcore. So maybe not worth for 1,000 documents, but I would say 10,000 documents above, or they're spending a lot of money on DocuSign. And by the way, DocuSign was the first money we made in the program. We replaced DocuSign by some other tools, and the company made $10,000 of saving immediately, and we made $6,500 of income. Everybody was happy because they were paying $17,500 per year to DocuSign. So now, thanks to our tech stack analysis and the solution we find them, we made money, and they save every year. They save $10,000. So these are the kind of quick wins that we want to find thanks to this this audit. So now I would have enough, and also maybe here, you know, they said Dropbox plus. Actually, we also use DocuSign, but because it's expensive, it's $3 per envelope per signature. That's how they charge. We are only getting 500 per year, but the wish is 10,000 envelopes. That's our real need. If we could digitally sign 10,000, then we can get our driver to sign the delivery, we can get our customer to sign the delivery, and we can get every NDA digitally signed because we can afford the price. So that's how I would capture it. How much you have right now and how much you would like to have, and then we can propose them some quick wins. Does this provide some highlights, Eric? Super.
Perfect.
Okay. We are exhausting our time, so let's go. We're still 60% of the way, but we did the most heavy one. So HR, this is very handy for companies that have, I would say, more than 10 employees, or that actually created the HR department and they have a HR manager. As soon as you have a HR manager, you usually will have a HR system. So there are so many HR systems here. We try to capture the most popular ones. So I don't know, let's say they have PeopleSoft and they only have 55, they only have, so HR systems, they have 2 licenses. They have usually 1 license for the HR manager and 1 license for each employee, especially when they do leave management, when the staff want to take leaves, and then you have rules. If you take leave in the summer, nighttime, or if you want to work remotely, they need to fill up an application to work remotely. So when you have that, they will charge you per employee to access the HR system and per HR manager. So if that's the case, you need to really differentiate between HR manager users, that's the most expensive, but also staff access license. So let's say the HR managers, they have 5 and the tool is $99 per month. That looks like it's not expensive, but actually they have 250 staff, and for these guys they have to pay $5 per month. Now you get the real cost of the HR system. And then again, you go for the pros, the cons, the wish, and the milestone. So milestone can be, we want to go to 1,000 employees by 2030. The wish is to have, how you call it, salary slips generation, payroll and salary slips, which they don't have right now. And the cons, the pros that they have right now is that, for example, they will tell you it has calendar view and reminder, plus, how you call it, when the staff, they come and they put their check-ins.
Yeah.
Check-in, check-out. Okay, and then the cons is, let's say, no API. You got the point? So let's move, if that's okay with HR. Or maybe Ryan, because you will also have like kind of the intense equivalent of HR, but maybe in a different way. But it could be, or maybe not.
We're definitely interfacing with, or intending to interface with a lot of what's on your drop down there, but I'm not. Could you rephrase your question? I'm not sure how to answer.
Yeah, no, because I was thinking from the workforce perspective, but then it's your clients that will need a HR system, not you. Maybe.
Correct. Yeah, that's correct. Yep. We're looking to interface with that data, and so if they're looking to replace it, that's a natural
yes.
lead.
Yeah. So
that's a natural lead for what you're talking about.
And if they don't have an API, then you cannot interface with them. It will be harder.
Correct. Yep.
Got it. Okay. So that's a good point. I put no API, and that's often what we need to figure out. Thank you. Let's go to the last ones and then do the questions and answers. So accounting management, I'm not the best at this, but let's say they have whatever they have here, and usually this is maybe 10 people that do the accounting and the invoice gathering and so on, and this is not too expensive monthly. But likewise, pros, cons, wish, and milestone. Stop me if there is anything about accounting, but just ask, like, especially when you do the pros, sometimes they don't want to change because of one stupid feature that we don't think about as agencies, but for them is very important. And it can be, for example, oh, because they have an app, I can scan my invoice when I go to the restaurant. Just that, because we have so many bills like that and we don't want to carry the paper. That's what I want to keep. I don't want a new system unless it has that. So, like, for example, smart phone bill scanning, just for you guys to think of. Okay, let's move. We're getting towards the end. So this is the most important for us because this is probably with the ERP. This is like how you call it, the turning table or the connector that will allow us to suggest some systems that otherwise, without the AI automation capacity that we build, we will not be able to suggest them to make that savings because we will not have the capacity and knowledge to move the data, to enrich it and reformat it properly. And that's what blocks most of migration tools, migration decisions. And that's what often blocks and keeps our enterprise clients vendor locked because they're so afraid and they didn't find a provider that can deal with the data and the data structure. So that's where we come and we can tell them, what do you have? What would you like to have? And we will let you know what we can do with this program. And we can really go deep into AI and automation, so we can really move the data. So let's say they have, I don't know, there are also so many, maybe they have UiPath, here, UiPath, for example. And then let me tell you, so let's say they have UiPath regular, and because it's so expensive, they only get 2 users, and I think it's 1,500 per year. So I will put here annually. And let's do the pros and cons just for you guys to see where the difference is between the established automation softwares and Artillera. I have some sales points and some differences because we can combine multiple tools. That's not the problem. But let me show you usually what are the pros and cons, the wish and the milestone. So most of the time you ask them, oh, you already have UiPath or Power Automate from Microsoft. So how many users you have? They usually have 1 or 2. And they give it to the developer or the IT team. And then the next thing you need to ask them is, okay, you have 1 license, but how many active bots do you have? And then they tell you, we only did 1 because every time we do a bot with Power Automate or UiPath, to run it the whole year, we need to pay $5,000 per bot. It's called unmanaged bot. We don't charge that with Artillera because you can develop that, make it a standalone, put it on a server, and they can run it unlimited the whole year. So that's what blocks creativity of people, and they think that they have automation, but they think that all automations are that expensive, and their automation creativity already took a hit, so they only did 1 or 2 bots. when actually they need 10 or 20. So that's what you. So the pros is that it's well known, documented, and at least it looks easy at first, even though actually along the way all automation tools become complicated because our processes are complicated, and because the websites and the systems we deal with are also have their own things. So that's what you will have. And the cons, that's where you have to go and catch the cons, is that $5,000 per and manage bot per year. We only have one, but we wish to have 10. That's exactly what you need to capture. That means that they wanted to do 10 automation, but because of the costs, they don't want to put $50,000 a year. But maybe they want to put $10,000 a year. So like let's say they double the fee per year, but then they get 10 times more bot. That means that now it's maybe worth it to develop the custom automation for you guys, package it on a VPS, and give them to run the whole year, and then maybe give them a contract instead of $10,000, instead of $5,000 per year with whoever they are. Maybe they can pay you $3,000 or half for one bot, or you can double the output or decuple the output and you sign with them a contract $10,000 a year. Usually these guys are ready to pay multiple $1,000s per year if you can offer them the automations and maintain them for them all over the year. So it's a maintenance thing. That is where they are scared. It's not so much about developing the automation. It's about, we know that after 3 months, we had to call again the guy and pay him for 5 days of work, and then we have to wait 1 month before he came. So we were not able to receive our onboarding forms for 1 month. So if you tell me, Eric, that you can respond and you're not far and so on, I will pay you. I will pay $1,000 a month for this. So that's where we can get some very good customers, guys. And then the wish is that probably instead of 2 users, they maybe want to transfer some knowledge and have 20 IT staff to develop small automations. So that means that they need 20 more licenses. And the milestone is that they want to automate 80% of processes. Yeah, and maybe here in the wish as well, they want to do a full BPMN audit of all departments and all processes, because this is also helps us, guys. The tech stack analysis helps selling the process audit, and the process audit helps to sell the tech stack analysis. And when we have both, we can really design the best database for this business, because we know the processes that it takes, we know where is the data and the solutions and if they have APIs or not, and we know the data life cycle, so we can really advise. So this is about the RPA. So probably one of the last heavy point for us to discuss. Please throw at me questions if you want right now. If not, we can do Q&A, and I can finish the last 2 or 3 points just to lock it.
There's a couple of good questions from Ryan and Justin regarding the consistency that you've got there, pros, cons, wish, and milestones.
Yes.
They're saying it will be handy if you put the fields there, so it's
exactly. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but I disciplined myself to do it on everyone. I realized that it was valuable. So yes, definitely, we will include it in this wizard and add it, because then you don't have to remember and you can just do it. Yeah. Is this enough? Pros, cons, wish, and milestone? Or if you see something else that I could do that I talked about, or you see that we can capture, I can add it. But thank you. That's a very good point. Any other question, or shall I move to the next point, Eli?
One other question, Justin. UiPath, what do you mean by that? Please elaborate more. What do you mean by UiPath? You haven't been specific. Do you want to speak, Justin?
Sorry, it's UiPath. I was just saying it would be very helpful to have some pros and cons of Artillera versus UiPath, because it's very popular.
Yes. UiPath, Automation Anywhere, and Microsoft Power Automate are usually what you find in corporate enterprises. and they almost all have the same way of functioning. So maybe we will do a session, Justin, to compare all the automation tools, including Zapier,
Yes.
Make, and all these things, N8N, and then so that you can actually show that you understand the landscape of automation and how we could combine multiple users. So for example, sometimes we tell them, why don't you keep just one user and one bot, because we don't want to disturb what works already with UiPath. But for the remaining 9 automation that you wish to do but too expensive on the UiPath, maybe 5 of them we can do them with Artillera, maybe 3 with Zapier alone or Make, and maybe another 2 or 3 or 5 can be done with N8N or any other software tool that you guys can incorporate. Or sometimes, you know, Justin, sometimes we even just do a JavaScript .sh script that runs on the server and does the job perfectly, and it's just one file, so that we don't even use the software. We just use a file.
Nice.
Yes, any other thing? Any other point? Thank you, Justin. It was a very good point. So I think I can move forward, Eli?
Yeah, no more questions.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, regulatory, I'll go pretty fast because Justin, you're the one exposed to it, but there are so many kinds of regulatory software. Mainly we came from an anti-money laundering compliance perspective, our experience. That's why we are building Diligencer, which is also a business we want to offer you guys as franchisees if you're interested. So we took it from that way, verifying identity, verifying risk, financial risk, and so on. But here we can add medical compliance, we can add data privacy compliance, we can add HIPAA, SOC 2, security compliance, and all these things. And you guys can remember this is all customizable to your jurisdiction and to your industry and to your knowledge, because you may know much more tools and stuff. So this is not like written in the stone. So let's say the most common one we have in the financial sector is WorldCheck. So let me tell you, the average bill of WorldCheck per enterprise is $40,000 per year. So I repeat, $40,000, 40. That's like the small bill. So we often make a lot of money replacing WorldCheck. And a lot of things that WorldCheck does, we actually have Artillera bots that do it. I don't know if you saw that video of doing a Google search and Bing search. That's basically what WorldCheck does with some extra stuff. So let's say they have just 2 users, and every user is $10,000 per year, and they pay that every year. So that's 20,000. And then I'm going to do the pros, the cons, the wish, and the milestone. Is that the pros is that it's recognized by regulators. That's why actually they take WorldCheck, is because the regulator tell them, yes, WorldCheck is good. That's why they buy it, just because they don't want to take risks with the regulator. So we have to show them that regulators are not about software, they're about regulations, like what do you need to check and so on, and what you need to document, just to break that misconception. So that's the first thing. The cons that they have is that so they pay per user this big amount, but that's not the end of the bill. They have this called continuous monitoring, which is, for example, when you have high value customers or high risk customers, and you want WorldCheck to scan them every month, to scan Google in case this guy got to jail or somebody sued him, or now his name appeared with a drug problem, and they want a notification, and it's called continuous monitoring, because if this high value client or this high risk client happens to be in an accident, you want to financially very quickly react. So this costs between $100 per month to $1,000 per month of continuous monitoring. So sometimes they have another $20,000 a year per month. And this is very good because this is the best candidate for Artillera and automation to do continuous checks using an external system. And the wish, they often say that we actually have 20 compliance officers. We would like all of them to get the compliance tools, not just our 2 senior compliance officer. So VS 2 senior officers. So that means that they need 22 licenses. 22 licenses. And the milestone is that they want to grow the team. So they have 22 compliance officers and they want to grow the compliance team to 5 people. Did you catch my trick, Eli? Or you need the coffee?
Yeah, no, I catch it.
So they want to grow, most of them, they will tell you that optimizing the compliance team is to not grow the compliance team, but to reduce it. That's how heavily regulated companies, because it costs them a lot of money. Can you imagine here, they're paying $40,000 to the software, but they're paying probably $500,000 per year just for the compliance team, because the senior compliance officer in America, that's $125,000, $150,000 a year. So you have 2 senior compliance officer, you have even just 4 or 5 junior, that's $50,000 a year, $75,000 a year. You just compile that as a small insurance company, and you have maybe $500,000 of HR plus software compliance. That's where we can bring a big ton of value with AI and automation and regulatory compliance. So that's why I'm put here, the milestone is to have just 5 staff, which is 1 senior plus 4 junior, plus I want 100 bots / AI pre-analysis. That's their goal. And this is where we can make the most money and we can provide the most value. It's often compliance. It's also where we have the most experience and we can share with you more experiences, guys. So any questions or any feedback?
Yeah, what I'd like to say, I never knew there was so much opportunity within that industry, and I never knew they charged so much. So there really is a massive opportunity to be. The only thing is, it's the trust thing, isn't it?
Well, there we can have that, because especially for you, Eli, in the city of London, it's the highest concentration of compliance costs. You just go there, like, well, how much is it? 3 miles, 3 square miles, or 4 square miles?
It's more than that. It's 20.
20
when
square
it comes
miles?
to London, London's a large place. So
no, not London. London City, the financial hub.
Oh,
the
yes.
City of London.
You're talking 3 to 4.
3 to 4. So I would say in that small square mile area, people are spending billions of dollars in compliance, billions of dollars of expenses. And it's a very large and diversified crowd. So I think London, the UK is very far ahead in compliance. The US is as well. So New York, all the financial hubs and cities, you guys have big opportunities. Any city that have a stock market in that city, a financial sector that is grown, is a huge market for you guys. Even if you don't know compliance, don't worry, we will provide the compliance knowledge, enough of it, because it's the compliance officer that does the compliance work. So we just empower the compliance officers to work faster with less people, do more. And what they want to know is they want to find the risk faster in more documents that the human eye cannot read everything, but the AI can go through a lot of documents. That's the key of compliance cost saving. And that's where we made most of our money so far. Probably 80% of the money that we made was about compliance, or maybe 70%. Okay.
If that's the case, let me just ask you one more question.
Yes,
what
please.
was the biggest pain point? So when you found out that's where you made the biggest opportunities, what was the biggest pain point when it came to, dealing with the customers and trying to convert them, etc.?
Yeah, very good question. So I can tell you the two very deep painful points that the businesses had, and they all have it. I was surprised to see that whether you have 20 employees as an insurance company or financial company, or you have 1,000 employees as a bank, they have the same big pain in the back, just to be polite. So the 2 pains are, one is that all of them, they have accumulated compliance work lag or stockpile. So they onboarded clients for the last 4 or 5 years, but then they lost the compliance officer, or they didn't have time. They never did the compliance work properly for the 5,000 clients that they have from last year or the year before. Which means that if they are audited this year and the auditor picks files. You know, the auditors, they pick file randomly. They check about 10% of your customer base, and they check the documentation. So if you're unlucky and they pull a customer from last year and you don't have the things, they fine you, or you can lose the license. So why it is a big pain is because if you lose the license as a regulated company, you're dead. You know, it's not like you lose a customer and you're a software company like us. If we lose one customer or two, even if they give us a bad review, they cannot take away the whole business. But the regulator can. They can just kind of hang you. So they fine you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Maybe £100,000 is easily is a common fine in the UK. £50,000, £100,000, £500,000, multiple million pound of fine. And then they uphold your license. They don't let you exercise for 6 months until you can prove that you've solved the weaknesses that you have. So that's the number one. Let's call it compliance lag. Is it lag in English? LAG?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, compliance lag or backlog. Very dangerous. And they will not tell you this until they realize that you can actually solve it. So I'm telling you guys so that you can give them the hints. Just in case, you know, we can deal with backlogs, and then once we clear the backlogs very fast, then we move on and we do continuous monitoring so that you don't have any more delays, and we work with your onboarding team. And when you tell them that, they say, oh yeah, by the way, we have about 5,000 clients and we didn't do the compliance. Could you help us do that first? So that's what we did. We got us deals. So it was not 5,000. One client was 17,500 humans and 4,000 companies. That's an enormous backlog for the size of the company. But if you work with a bank, you could have hundreds of thousands of clients to deal with. And then another very small company, even though they were very small, they had 4,800 clients to catch up with. So it's enormous. It's enormous. And we can do that with local AI, with Llama 3, because we can feed passports, proof of address, and we can scan them and see if the passport is expired, the proof of address is wrong. And we do Google search. We can do all these things. We have the bots, guys. So we have about 7 or 8 compliance bots that we have already. Now, second pain point. So the first pain point becomes red zone when they have the auditor told them we're coming to audit in 2 weeks. Those clients, you could almost tell them any price they will pay because an audit is coming and they know that they have backlog. So always ask, by the way, guys, when is your next audit? Then we can help you, better prepare. And if they tell you our next audit in next month or 2 weeks, that should ring a bell in your mind. Like you can almost stop the tech stack and tell them, guys, should we just focus on getting you right for the audit? And then once we pass the audit, we will help you with like catching up with other things. But probably the audit is the number one priority right now because it's red zone. So that was the case actually for two clients that had that. They didn't tell us before, but actually they had an audit. They just didn't tell us. They just told us we have backlogs and we are in a rush. So now I know that when somebody tells you I have backlog and I'm in a rush, it's probably that they have an audit coming in. And another thing that happens, Eli, is that a company has a compliance officer for years, and then they realize that the guy was just smoking cigarettes and watching YouTube movies all these years and giving fake reports or something, and then they fire him or her, or the person leaves, and now they realize there is a huge hole in our compliance. So that's often the origin of the backlog. Is they didn't monitor very well the first team that they had for compliance. Now the second pain point is that they know they have to do compliance. So let's say, Eli, let's take a small London-based asset management firm. There's a lot of boutique asset management in the UK, yeah, in London. So they do, let's say, family finances and whatever. They don't have so many clients. It takes them a lot of time to onboard one client. But let's say they have 100 leads. They have 100 people they want to do asset management with them. Now they have 100 compliance files. every compliance files is 3 days of work for my compliance team, human resources. I have 100 potential clients. That means 300 days of HR. Do you see the pain? I cannot take the client yet. I have to do the due diligence before I take the client, because the regulator told me you cannot take a client for asset management unless you pre-run the checks. That's the big problem of this industry, is that they have to spend compliance money before signing off a client. And even I sign off a client for asset management, I will only make money in 1.5 years or 2 years once I have managed their assets. So now I have exposed myself between a must-have cost of compliance and a maybe not coming revenue. Yeah, that's the biggest pain point. So what they do is that they kind of zigzag, you know, they do halfway, they do very light surface checks, and they take the client and then they try to get a first income of money, and then they do the second compliance check. And they try to find which one is the high risk, and we just dig on the high risk, but those who look okay, we don't really do the compliance. You know, we do it before the audit or when we get money. So because they do that to save themselves costs, they expose themselves to audit and backlog. So it's a continuous bleeding phenomena for regulated companies. So and I think I'm not exaggerating. They really suffer this. Compliance cost is a big pain in the back, big, and it's an upfront cost. It's worse than marketing. Marketing, you may spend money and then once you can get the client, you can get it. But compliance costs, you may spend the work and at the end say, I can't take him because he's too risky. But I spent 3 days of research on that customer.
The great thing is it's an essential service, and there's a, as you said, or as you meant to say, it was a cycle to it too, which I like about. And it's an essential. They're willing to pay the money because they can't risk.
No, it's too dangerous. It's a life-death matter.
Yeah.
Now the secret, really solving the problem, and we will teach you that, guys, is what we discussed: the database structure, the life cycle of the data, because compliance is data, is risk-related data. So you need to accumulate data like documents, Google searches, social media scanning, and then relate it with an AI to triggers. You know, so it's about data, and it's vectorial data more than they think. So that's one part. The second part that you solve it very well is that you tell them, okay, now we will do the database structure together. And now we know the life cycle of your compliance data. Now this compliance data should be in your onboarding form. You need to have 100% match between the onboarding and the compliance. Otherwise you create diversions and future work and accidents. And that's where we work with them on the onboarding. So we get the compliance half done by the customer. So we offload compliance to the customer. They upload the passport, they do this, they fill up these costs. And then we offload another 30% to the AI that double checks the documents. And then it goes into the database. And then the compliance officer, he already has full documents fulfilled by the customer through the wizard form. The AI pre-analysis, and then they go and check if it's a false positive, a false negative, or how you call it, true positive, that really the risk is there. And we divide their compliance workload by 10. So now you can properly onboard and do the compliance work and start working with the customer. That's how we solve it. I hope it makes a bit of sense, and we can dive in more later on.
That's genius. Love it.
Yeah, so do I. That cool. Rings a bell for me, to be honest.
Yes, and also, Ryan, I think we had that discussion. Sometimes you don't realize, but you're also exposed to anti-money laundering regulation. Like we are exposed actually, because when for example, if somebody, so we're not directly exposed because money doesn't move through us. But if, for example, Ryan, if somebody deposit with you $100 just to, like, I don't know, to apply for a visa or whatever, you know. So if you take in money of a third party, you're immediately under the anti-money laundering regulations. Even if it's temporary deposit, like you give them credit or whatever, you know, in your business model. So a lot of people don't realize that they should be regulated, or they don't want to come to that realization because of financial issues. Okay, I think we highlighted this quite well, and let's just close this. That it's probably the number one financially and value rewarding AI automation field for us, because it brings everything together. The local AI becomes so much more valuable, because they say, no, but I could not send my customer passports to ChatGPT. I want the AI to double check the expiry date of the passport, but no, I can't send it to Claude. And say, yeah, no problem. Buy this hardware, I install for you. We connect it to your local ERP or our AI automation backend, and we get it done without exposing your customer passport. So that's how we solve it. Okay, let's go now. This one is like facultative in French, optional. You want to also know what kind of connections they have. Do you have optic fiber? Do you have what kind of antivirus you have? What kind of router? Do you use a VPN? Yes, and then and so on. And this is just to like know a little bit their connectivity and networking costs. Like let's say they have $5,000, and here the same pros, cons, wish, and milestone. And here, for example, the milestone could be that we want to go full IoT, Internet of Things. We want to place sensors everywhere, yeah? And feed data to our ERP via API. I'm just giving you a shortcut of what this means here in terms of devices, networking, and so on. This is what you want to offer, because we will be, if you say sensors, it means it's going to be on premises. That means that this is a perfect client for us, because we are already oriented on premises. So when they have local sensors, it can be stupid, Eli. I don't know if you notice, but a lot of bars in London, they have NFC sensors on their beer. How you call that beer thing? How you call that?
Do you know what?
Yeah.
It's Eric. Do you know what it's called? I'm not.
Well, it's a draft.
Yeah, it's a draft
yeah.
thingy.
Yes.
Draft thingy.
because it doesn't come in bottle.
Perfect draft.
Draft.
Thingy.
Yeah. So you have many companies like that. They would like to use sensors to measure their commodity use or their material vs their sourcing and their profitability or loss. And things like that are perfect example for us, because we could link their physical data with their customer data, CRM, ERPs, and their financials. And that's a big advantage when you can link physical data with financial projections, because that will impact the sourcing, the cash flow. And if a company, sometimes we don't make them make money, but we make them save cash flow. They will pay us because we save $10,000 a month of cash flow. So cash flow, even though it's not profit, they will give us $1,000 if we can save $10,000 of cash flow. Does it make sense, Eli?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, Eric?
I have another example. Like
Yes, please.
Fleet management.
Fleet management?
Yes.
Mhm.
Like when you have a trucking business and you have, I don't know, 20 drivers, and then you have, I think, TomTom, there are so many fleet management systems where you have a device
Yes.
wired into the car, and then you have all the telemetric data points, and you know how the drivers decelerate, brake. So if they do that too fast, you know that they could save on brakes, gasoline or diesel, whatever,
Yes.
just by monitoring how they approach intersections, stuff like that. And you can have them you can partner with a driving school. They have efficiency driving programs for drivers, and you can link with them and get the fleet management companies to give you the data or to save the data, and then you partner up with driving schools. And we have an example here in Berlin, because my ex-girlfriend, she had a driving school with her parents, and they had
Nice.
Coca-Cola right around the corner. So Coca-Cola always went to their driving school, because in Germany you have to get your license renewed every, I don't know, couple of years, I think,
Okay.
2 years or something like that. So they are returning customers as well. So
Yeah,
have
it
lots
makes
of
a lot of
things
sense.
to take care of.
Oh, it's perfect. And also, especially this is the magic of integrating data, because when they check in to take the truck, then it goes into the HR management system. We know that this is the driver to this vehicle, and then the telemetry is related to kind of a session, like a computer session, but this is a vehicle session. So you can have like very advanced analytics. Yeah, I love this. So, I mean, the sky is the limit when it comes to this, and also we have more and more smart homes, smart gates, smart waiting. So many things are coming smart that we can connect. They all have APIs, by the way. Okay, and because they are local sensors, they also have, you heard of, they call it edge AI, embedded AI. So they are putting small AI models, they call them mini LLM. So we will cover that as well, guys. But some sensors, they have like mini LLM that are like 10 megabytes. Wait, so it just understands temperature changes and then it gives you like a small blob of text. So we could combine that let's call it raw LLM that is edge, because they don't have enough compute, with the local LLM and the big computer without sending to the cloud for extending the analytics and AI power. So there's so much potential here. We can discuss more. But for this part, I think it's enough to cover it. And then the hardware, I will finish with this. It's the last one. So Eli, I think this can be useful because often when you have like financial companies or maybe architect companies, they buy computers and then they renew them every 4 or 5 years. I think Justin, you were saying 4 or 5 years, and then often they're gonna buy again a stupid set of computers. So the most stupid set of computers that I saw in sourcing was in the United Nations. So the United Nations, what they do is that because they don't have anybody to advise them, they go and buy for every staff the lousiest laptops with 4 gigabytes of RAM, stupid small low resolution screen, and then all the stuff is performing 30% less because of the compute limitations. And then I was discussing with this HR and the sourcing manager. I say, why don't you just put $200 more over 5 years? Nothing, and we can increase our productivity if we have a larger screen and so on. So this is important, that especially with big, let's say traditional companies, they don't realize how much a small change in hardware can increase productivity. I'll give you an example. If you have 2 screens and you're an accountant, you can guess how much time you save, because you can load the documents here and the Excel here, and you can, instead of killing your brain, switching in a single screen. So that's what we do here, is we ask them, what kind of configuration you have. Do you have those lousy laptops or PCs that actually you just put Windows and it's already slow? Or do you have at least 16 gigabytes of RAM? So you identify, in French we say le parc informatique, the parc, but I think it's called the assets, the computer assets. So how many desktops? Let's say they have 55. How much they buy the desktop at that time, and they went very cheap, let's say only $800. And then how many years do they have to amortization? And often they will tell you, oh, it's been 4 years, so we will soon replace them. That's very good for us, guys, because I know that there is about 44,000 worth of computer purchase that is coming soon. I can advise them. And then I go to the laptops. What kind of configurations you have? They have only 20 laptops for the moving staff or the managers. The laptops are a bit more expensive. And then they are a bit more recent. They just got them. And then how many AI-enabled servers? So even if they don't have, you want to put the seed. So often they will say 0, but you want to tell them, no, you want something. Even a small 16 gigabyte graphic card, or a bigger, now we will add the new Dell here, right? So let's say they don't have, but they want at least a small model that can use 8 billion parameter models, which can do image analysis. That's the limit of 8 billion models. So how many AI PCs? Let's say they want only one, and let's say the cost is $3,000, and they will buy it this year. So that will be the investment. And now you do the same pros, cons, wish, and Milestone. And this will give us, even if we don't sell hardware, just advising them which kind of hardware and showing them that you are going to buy this. I can make you a study that will give you more capacity. And depending on because we know the software that you need, we also know what computer should match that software. And then we will increase your performance or efficiency by X and Y. And for the AI server, we can take care of it. You can buy it, we set it up for you, and we put this and that. So this is like a gateway for us to come in and put the AI on premises. I think, Eric, you see the sales pitch.
Well, I'm just thinking, 2017, I think, the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, 75% of the computers were Windows XP and lower.
Yes.
And
yes.
someone got that. Someone got the task to renew the hardware.
Those are big contracts,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes we can also join. They do, how you call it, request for public tenders. So we can go to whoever wins the tenders and tell them, guys, we can enable you to do better. So you can join
Wasn't
these
that
guys.
the story of Lord of War? Or they won the tenders for the ammunition and stuff?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
They were just always the cheapest. So
Yes. Well, maybe with our knowledge, we could be sourcing it directly from NVIDIA or something. But you guys got the point. It's always good to know the physical infrastructure. And now, also we like to close the exercise with asking the CEO or whoever we did the interview with, how much do you think you're ready given our interview now? Because when you start, you tell them, are you confident that your company is ready for AI automation? They say, yeah, no problem, we already started. And then you tell them how much you're ready between 0 and 10. Say, we're a 7 or 8. It's almost like a beautiful lady who nobody told her that she's not that beautiful, or a beautiful guy. We think we're an 8 or 7, and then we're actually not that good looking, yeah? Sorry to break it down for you guys. Only our mother gives us a 10. So it's the same with our self-perception. And here, really the idea is to tell them, now that we covered all this, how much you really think you are? Are you like halfway? Are you a 5? And where do you want to go? Like, what's your vision? And then you just take it here, like where they are for now. And then you can put some notes and like, if especially you want to bring this to strategic level, Okay, and then you can give them already a summary, and you can save this, and then you can export it as a PDF. So the summary overall gives them the overall costs in software, and then potentially the hardware. And you can see here we're already at $150,000 between hardware and software, which is quite a big amount. And you can also highlight where the pain is, plus the notes. So this is like just a first preview, but with our notes, we come back with a second figure where we put we wish to have, or the other costs that we couldn't compute here. We need to add them in. And so often we go back to the Google Sheet. Or we can add some custom fields here, or hidden fields, for us to complete the exercise. But I finally reached the end. When we do this with customers, it takes between 2 hours and 4 hours to go through this. Usually we sit down with the CEO and the IT manager. And after the 4 hours of one-to-one meetings, then we do like a couple of calls during the week to get additional data. So another 1-2 hours of phone calls and emails. So this is a half day up to a whole day of data gathering, and then another 1 day to 2 days of research and analysis. So it's going to cost you 3 days of work, 2 days of work. So that's why here in Mauritius, we charge $1,000 for this exercise. But I think in the US, Germany, maybe you can charge more because it's really a lot of work. But usually we tell them, you pay $1,000 and we will discount it from our next service or software. So you will get it back. It's just to protect our cost because we spend a lot of quality time. So that's what we did with one client, is that they paid us, actually we gave them a discount. They paid us $500, $600. We gave them 40% discount. And then when we sold them the digital signature saving, we deducted it from that. So they were happy. They didn't lose money. Voila, we can talk. Happy to take questions on how to propose this, and if you don't want to propose this and make time, then you can let them go through. And maybe what we can do is we can do a video explanation or kind of a video, a small hovering guide here that can guide the customers. And then we let them do this exercise, and then we start with the quick wins. It's up to you guys. We're ears open to how you want to take this to the next step and make the best use of it.
Yeah, I have one question.
Yes, please, Kyle.
Yeah, so there are like pros and cons that you went through for each of the services, like
Yes.
ERP and the other things.
Yeah.
So the reason why we did that is because we have a better solution for them, right? Like we have a better solution for their documents or a better solution for their ERP.
That's what we can potentially find. We may not have it, but we can potentially find it. But I think Ryan told me something like that. Like, you don't know what you don't know, or Eli, you said that. It's like a conundrum. You don't know what you don't know. Unless we bring them into this discussion, they will have never known that actually there was a potential alternative. So the short answer is no, we don't have, not necessarily, we don't have the solution ready, but there are high chances we can find a solution or bridge 2 or 3 solutions together and provide our services in that bridging.
Okay. So other than Artillera, like what are the other services that we can offer to them? So I know that you mentioned like some kind of PDF solution and
yeah, so many, like anything. Like even you can forget about Artillera when you're doing this exercise. You can use Artillera once you have the data and you know which software they use and the data lifecycle. Then you can see Artillera can do this and can get me the data and do that and do that. But even before that, you need to understand where the data comes from, what triggers the data, what is the data lifecycle, and what are the exchanges inside that soup. The onboarding team, they do that, and then they send it to the sales team, and then the sales team, they send it to the manager approves, and then he sends it to the compliance team, and then you need to understand all those things that is happening between the people of that company, the softwares and the hardware they use to deliver their services, and you need to understand that life cycle. And this is the idea of capturing all this data, is to actually kind of modelize how they work. And that's the most valuable, Kyle, because once you understand, you can be in their shoes, plus your foreign external perspective, you can show them, guys, we can optimize just by doing business processes optimization. Why do you have the onboarding team send it to the sales team and then to the manager, and then actually the compliance officer is the one to decide? Then onboarding goes directly to the compliance officer, because there's no point to do any work if the compliance doesn't validate the customer. So now you save 30% of clients that we were not going to take anyway. We can remove the work that we were doing for those useless customers technically. You see what I mean, Kyle? We haven't touched any software. We just engage them in discussion and processes.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
It's about removing redundancy. When I'm dealing with clients, the last thing I think about is software. I look at the process, I break down all the processes, and then I see what I can take out of the process. So if there's 10 steps to what they do, I then say, well, why do you need to do step 3, 7, and 6?
Exactly.
And then once you know that, then you bring in the software. A lot of people try and make the client work for the software rather than the other way around. It's best to simplify things. Process is the most important thing. What is their process? Then look at the process and how can you improve it? Forget about automation. As a human being, look at the process as a human being. Why have you got, as Mohammed was talking, why have you got this department talking about this department? Break it down from a human being point of view. If you had no technology at all, then you bring the technology, is the last thing you should bring in. Otherwise, what it's going to be is going to be rubbish in, rubbish out. If you start with the technology, all you're doing is trying to optimize with technology rubbish. Does that make sense?
I make a lot of sense for me, and that's exactly the way we want. Kyle, go ahead.
I mean, I do have to think it in a different way, I think. Yeah,
Mhm.
so
But that's the relationship between the BPMN that we propose as a knowledge and template, plus the database structure. Because at the end, we want to bring it also after the processes, bring it to the database structure and then to the systems, to the most efficient ways. But just to the point of Eli, what I discovered when coming here in Mauritius, I noticed that many companies, especially in logistics, they had this rule in their parkings. Like the parking guard, he always run after me and ask me to park reverse, backwards. I don't know how you say, nose front. I think they call it nose front. I say, why you do that? Why nose front? And then I asked them, one of the manager, I say, why? What's the thing about nose front parking? Like, it's just an annoyance to visitors. And he said, no, because we have like 20% less accident with our drivers. When they reverse, when they load the vans or something, we noticed that there is 20% less accidents if they are nose pointing because they load from behind, which is facing the loading bay. And then when they drive, they see who is in front and they don't bang another van or another truck. So I didn't know, but it was a good exposure, and sometimes that's a big optimization, 20% less accidents in the year. So you have much more of this, Kyle, with people working on computers. They actually do a lot of redundancies, much more than the physical world. Like they will take a file and put it here, and then they copy it and put it here, and then they forward it by email, and then they put it back, and then at the end they put it back on Dropbox into 2 different folders, and then in 4 different folders in 10 people computers. They do a lot of redundancy, like Eli was saying, with files and data. Okay.
got it.
I hope, Kyle, but we will go step by step, and we will do experiences one by one. It will become
Can
more
I also say
clear.
another thing when it comes
Yes,
to
please, Eli.
redundancy? Kyle, by doing it this way, also you optimize the process for the amount of hardware you're using. You don't need to use as much as hardware as if you just got on and just implemented everything. If you just minimize everything from just a normal perspective, then you don't have to do so much processing because you've taken out 3 steps out of 10. So there's less processing, it's cheaper for the client, it's easier for you to implement, and so on and so forth. So the prep at the beginning is the most important, and it will save you a lot of time and money for the client at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. And Kyle, I remember now one point that I forgot to mention, especially for you that you're technical. There is a concept that we bring to companies that they are not aware. I'll show you what we did here. I think I don't remember if it was here or here. Yes. Okay. So often you have companies, they buy especially SaaS subscriptions or recurring softwares. They buy per user, right? They always think we need 20 users. We are 20. We need 20 users. We are 80 staff. We need 80 users. And actually, it's not always the case. Often, Kyle, we can use an intermediary. We can do system to system. For example, this is what we did here. We said instead of giving 20 access to your accounting software to your 20 staff, actually you can connect your ERP to the accounting software and consume just 1 monthly subscription, but the data is pulled and pushed through the self-hosted ERP. Now you can give access to all your 125 users. You see here, so we were able to put 125 users at $0 because we did what we call system to system integration. One user license, which is the system that I buy from outside, is connected to my system through an API, and then my system offers unlimited free users. So therefore, I have removed the number of users and I only keep 1 license, system to system. Is this a good wording, or maybe Eli, you can find another way?
No, you said it quite well, actually.
Yeah, so we do that a lot. It's often a good saving.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Cool. Any questions in the chat, or I didn't look at the chat. I
No.
need to stop sharing.
Does anybody have any questions at all that they're scratching their heads with? Don't scratch too much, otherwise you'll go bald like me.
I almost clicked end the call by mistake. Okay, now I stopped sharing. I think we can see ourselves. Yes. Yeah, so if we're good, yeah, I don't see any new questions. Yeah, anybody who wants to share? Oh, there's a skeleton there. That's Eric. Okay. Anybody has something to share, please don't hesitate. If not, remember now we have the community, artillera.com/community. So put your comments. I love the use cases that you guys have been giving. You know, Eric, Eli, and also Justin, maybe, and also Ryan. Maybe if you don't mind, in the community, you just drop it. It's always good knowledge for people to say, "Oh, yeah, I didn't look at it that way." So that would be very nice between us to share all these little stories and the little use cases.
Yeah, you've given me 2 different new domains of use cases in this call, so it's very interesting. The whole examining what could be done in terms of integration and reducing cost elsewhere in terms of HR tech. That would be very interesting because that would open up budgets.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is the risk monitoring compliance piece. That could be some interesting things we could look at doing with that as well. So
yeah, and also the advantage of sometimes you're not regulated, but if you could get a regulation, Ryan, in your business, then your trust and your trademark goes up and you can charge more. But often we don't want to get regulated because we don't have the technical means to handle it. But now that you guys know, if we can use AI automation to control the cost of regulation, maybe regulation is actually now good for us because we understand that game. We're not in the red ocean anymore. We're in the blue. We're like jumping. So I would go for some regulatory licenses. Then it protects my market, you know, without suffering the costs. So
it's good.
On that note, if we're good guys, we wish you as usual happy end of day or end of afternoon and beginning of day for the Asian side. Thank you very much. Thank you, Eli, again. Thank you, everyone. See you on the next one.
Sayonara.
Sayonara.